scandal, Stephen A., and he wants more attention being paid to the lie detector test. Are you buying what he's saying?
I am buying what he says. Having said all of that, I don't care. I want to say what I'm about to say. First of all, Jay Billis, obviously an outstanding job, my colleague and buddy. I have profound respect for Rick Pitino and what he has accomplished as a basketball coach. I am ashamed of what I saw from him yesterday because it's evasive. Mm-hmm. Here's the reality of the situation. You're Rick freaking Pitino.
Yeah.
You are culpable. You got tears in your eyes. You bring up the lie detector test, and all right, fine. You didn't know anything. There's plenty of college basketball coaches that did not know what the assistants may have been doing, what alumni members may have been doing, what boosters for a university may have been doing. I mean, damn, they made a movie, Blue Chip, starring Shaquille O'Neal and Nick Nolte years ago, where Nick Nolte didn't know what the hell folks were doing. You're still culpable. So to sit up there and where I say that I was ashamed is that he's talking about certain, not the entire, Board of Regents or whomever pushed him out the door because of the pay-for-play scheme and the FBI investigation. Well, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm not talking about the university. I'm just talking about a couple of people. Well, what were those couple of people supposed to do? The FBI is knocking on your door. They are investigating violations. There have been 4 assistant coaches that have been indicted on multiple charges who can do 80 years in prison. 80 years.
Yeah, they've been indicted.
They've been indicted. They've been indicted, and they can do 80 years in prison. And you're sitting up there with tears in your eyes because somehow, some way, your name has been sullied. You did that. You did that because, listen, they said his actions and his inactions are what contributed to the situation. So in other words, what they're saying is dereliction of duty at the very least. You were asleep at the wheel. Rick Pitino, come on, man. I'm going to take him at his word, Max. He knew nothing. I'm going to take it even though
I think he chose not to know.
Listen, that's fine. But we can think, but we don't know. So let's give this 2-time national champion the benefit of the doubt. He made it, 7 Final Fours? Listen, he may very well not have known. We find that hard to believe, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt. You may not have known anything. Because you are who you are. Scheduled to make, $7.8 million this year? 98% of the revenue from Adidas. So you easily pulling in about 10 to 15
Which he claims, by the way, was a pre-existing deal, and the information was leaked to make him look bad.
We're not sweating it. The bottom line is this. As far as I'm concerned, if Rick Pitino's earning $10+ million a year with the money he brought in Louisville, he deserves it. I ain't hating on it. All I'm saying, and I'm not even trying to indict you as if you knew something about this. I'm saying if you are the leader we know you to be, Rick Pitino, you know good and well you have to be held accountable for this because this happened on your watch. You can't sit up there pointing a finger at a couple people. There is no one he should have a problem with because he put them in an untenable situation. He contributed to it because, if nothing else, his dereliction of duty as the head of the program. You've got to own that. To come away like you've been some kind of victim. Nah, not that. You might not be guilty, but you damn sure ain't innocent.
I grew up loving Rick Pitino. When he took over the Knicks, he was the original D'Antoni, really. Knicks were the bomb squad. I've brought up Mark Jackson before. That whole team centered around the great Patrick Ewing, of course. But they were jacking up threes, and people said that's not the way you play. And they were full court press, picking the guy up full court, and that was Pitino. And ultimately, they failed in the playoffs, but they were a good, young, exciting team, and Pitino went back to college. So Rick Pitino fan. Mm-hmm. But the question is, are you buying what Pitino said? And the answer is no, I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. First of all, it seemed rehearsed. Whatever firm he hired, or if he did this himself, he was ready with set answers, it seemed to me. He wanted you to know right away about the lie detector test, which, by the way, can be defeated. You can beat a lie detector test. It's not that unheard of. Now, there's a strong positive correlation between someone lying and someone getting caught on a lie detector test. In other words, not being able to beat it. But there are plenty of people who have beaten lie detector tests. So the fact that he sits there and the first thing he tells you is, I beat a lie detector test. Yeah. Like he couldn't off his tongue.
Yeah, that's what you point to. You know what I point to?
Wait, hold on one second.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So he's putting that out there. Now, here's why I find it hard to believe, Stephen A. This is going back several years. I don't talk to as many people as I did then about this subject, but I knew from multiple people who were not that long ago assistants and such in college.
Okay.
The price for a top high school recruit going to a school in cash Now, do I have first-hand knowledge of it? No, it's second-hand knowledge. But it's widely known in the industry. I could tell you the dollar amount it costs, college, basketball, and football. So you mean to tell me if I know that, Rick Pitino doesn't know that? And you mean to tell me that Rick Pitino is the one guy running a totally clean program? So I find that that strains credulity. And the way he presented it seemed rehearsed to me. Now, I don't know that he's lying or anything like that, but if you're asking me my impression, it didn't sound credible.
I started in this business as a reporter in 1993 for the New York Daily News as a high school reporter. A lot of my success was predicated on the fact that I was connected to the streets and that I knew an abundance of street agents. Street agents utilized by universities to funnel money to the players. Back then, and they will remain nameless, but you can just look at the stars in the late 90s and the early to mid 90s, and you could just let's just say the price was approximately $500,000 to $600,000. Okay, now that was back then. We don't know what the hell it is now, particularly with the allure of the NBA waiting, et cetera, et cetera. So we understand that that goes on. It's almost impossible to imagine that Pitino did not know. But to get to what you pointed to, Max, this is the thing that resonates with me. College programs of street runners, street agents, and all of that stuff all the time. It's to a lesser degree now than it was before because you got sneaker companies in the mix. You got AAU coaches in the mix. Back when I was in New York City, it was the Gauchos and Riverside and all of this other stuff. They played for those programs. But then you had agents, street agents that were connected to the universities. All of that stuff is too complicated to get into, but they know I know. Here's the deal. When I watched Pitino last night talking to R.J. Billis, I'm one of those guys, and I'm a Christian. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to go to heaven. I ain't there. I'm trying to go. But let me be very clear. When you bring up God, that makes me nervous. Because what happens is that what you're trying to do is because who can argue with that? I mean, when you sit up there and say that God knows. And, he knows. Really? Well, I'm not that dude, but neither is the FBI. Did you say that to them? Did you say
You're not before the pearly gates, you're before the courts.
Did you say to the FBI, God knows? Was that your explanation? Because I can assure you that wouldn't fly with them. It wouldn't fly with them. If the Justice Department got involved, it wouldn't fly with them. Let's just be clear about something like this. When you usually bring that up, it's an evasive and a dissuasive measure to neutralize the inquisition coming your way. It never, ever, ever should work. And that's what I thought Rick Pitino was trying to do last night. Again, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He might be innocent. No, he might not be guilty of what he's being accused of. But he is not innocent. You are Rick freaking Pitino. It is your program. You're one of the biggest coaches in the history of college sports, and this happened on your watch.
I want to say one last thing about this. Yep. When you point the camera at something and you start charging advertising dollars and you charge money for tickets and all those things, because there's genuine interest in it, no question, revenue is generated. And when labor, meaning the players, don't get paid, well, they get paid through tuition. Stop. We can only relitigate that absurd argument. When the players, the labor, don't participate in that revenue, the money will find a way to them one way or another. It's not that I think Rick Pitino is any more complicit than others in that business, but his professing his innocence strains credulity.
It's a lot of deflection.
As you well know, I'm very connected to the streets still and all, and I just got a text from one of the street hustlers, and he said the number is now 300,000. It went down. It's 300,000 now. It's not 500,000 like it was in the